Jorge Ayala-Rivera, also known as Rivi, is a Colombian criminal who is best known for his work as a hitman for Medellín Cartel leader Griselda Blanco. In 1993, Rivi was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Rivi was considered to be Griselda Blanco's top enforcer. He led a small crew which helped him carry out various crimes. Rivi's brother, Alonso Ayala, also worked as a sicario for Blanco. Rivi pled guilty to 3 killings in 1993, but was believed to be responsible for roughly 36 murders that took place during the Miami drug war. In 1982, Griselda Blanco ordered Rivi to kill Jesus Chucho Castro, one of her former enforcers. According to Jorge Ayala-Rivera, a Miami police homicide detective, she wanted Castro dead after he had been hired to protect a drug supplier, but refused to carry out an unspecified order. However, Ayala claims that Blanco wanted Castro dead for an offense against one of her sons. The attempt on Castro's life occurred on February 6th of that year. Ayala and Miguelito Perez drove up alongside Castro's vehicle while he was stopped at a red light and executed a drive-by shooting with a silenced machine gun. However, the bullets missed Castro and accidentally killed his 2-year-old son, Johnny, who they were unaware was in the car with his father. Ayala was charged with the murder of Castro's son in August 1988. Ayala made an agreement with Florida District Attorney's Office to testify against Griselda Blanco, who had been charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. But the case fell apart.
I was born in Colombian, July 5th, 1957. Arrived in the United States, July 5th, 1969. I was known as a car thief, one of the biggest car thieves in Chicago, and then after the 80s, I was known to be an assassin for the cartel. Chicago to live with my father. He worked for General Motors. Went to St. Copious Catholic School where I learned English at. I was a mechanic with my dad. That's where I learned how to break into cars. I just got with a group of guys and we started stealing cars, selling to chop shops. Between $200 and $500 a car. We used to steal 5, 6 a night. It was 3 of us. So we were making good money. Better than working with my dad. We were in the restaurant eating breakfast and 3 Colombians came in. One of them was Cruz Gonzalez, and he asked who was Riverita. We asked him what he was looking for. He said, I'm looking for, he stole my car. So I just told him, I said, I'm the guy you're looking for, River. He said, you stole my car and then I want my car back. I said, you can't have it back unless you give me $500 for it, because it belongs to me now. He started laughing. He said, you got some balls, you know that? I said, I heard of that before. And he asked me if I ever been to Florida. I said, yeah, a couple times. He asked me if I've been to Miami. I said, yeah. With my dad, he asked me if I could drive a truck for him to Florida. I said, sure. Will you pay? He said, yeah, they will pay me $5,000 for that truck. I told me, no problem. Then we piled the driver. I said, yeah, I got my 6 of them. We drove the truck, we're driving smoking weed all the way down. And we stopped halfway because I got curious what was in the box. It was full of boxes. We pulled over and I opened one of the boxes. It was full of guns, used guns, shotguns, revolvers, automatic pistols. So from there, we just started driving and spilling. When I got to Miami, he paid us. And he says, look, I got some things going. Maybe you guys could work for me and make some more money in Miami. If we could stay in Miami, don't know what. He said, just delivering dope and pick up money. Maybe once in a while, push somebody around. We decided to stay for a couple of weeks. So what he told me was just to watch one of his stash houses. That was the first time that we were working with people if they were in the drug business, because later on they were pussycats. After we learned our own, the trade, and we learned how to use guns, and we met different people. There were nobody to do with it. Pussycat, Boy Scouts. Cruz had our ex-military, our old man. As soon as I met him, I liked the guy. And he started telling me he was in the military for so many years and he was a demolition expert. So I started asking him a lot of questions about explosives and automatic weapons. So I went in the next room and got one. I was a Mac 10. I said, I want to know how to take it apart, clean it. We started going off to the Everglades and shooting at machine guns. I learned. I got pretty good at it also. So the first day I held a mechanism in my hands, I knew that was my favorite choice of weapon. Then he says, you want to learn how to use explosives? I said, yeah. He said, you got good nerves? I said, pretty steady. He says, we have some dynamite coming from Texas in a few days. I'm going to teach you how to make bombs. The next day, the dynamite arrived with the detonators. He took 4 sticks of dynamite and detonators. And he started just going through, basically showing me how to do it. About 2 hours later, he said, you think you can build one? I said, I think so. So I did. I said, the only thing they need is just plug to the battery and to the timer. He said, can you do that? And my kids are sleeping in the next room, my wife. And he would just try me. I said, sure. How much time you want out of it? He said, about 30 seconds. Go ahead. And I did. We let the clock run. He was sitting in front of me. About 10 seconds went by, 15. He says, in another 10 seconds going to go off. I said, no, you want me to shut it off or you want to shut it off? So he smiled, he put a plug on it. Then he says, you're good at it. Just make sure that when you're doing it, don't be on drugs. Don't drink, because you blow your kids up. A couple of weeks went by, we were in a nightclub in Miami. Blanco came in. He says, look, you need to get out of here, because we're fixing to do a hit here. You need to get your people out. Those people on your right, those 6 Colombians laughing and drinking firewater, you're gonna spray that table, the whole table. And I said, all right, appreciate it. I said, let me get my guys. I went back to the bathroom and I told him, I said, we gotta go, it's gonna be shit out here. He said, just give me a minute. I walked out. Well, during that time, my niggas had stopped at the same table by accident and told the guys to leave because there was gonna be a shootout. So he screwed up the hit. It was just an accident. Apparently he knew one of the guys at the table, so that he was just looking for his friend, told him to leave because it was gonna be a shooting. I was outside, my niggas came out. Behind my niggas, everybody started pushing each other out. Blanco came in his motorcycle. He was pretty pissed off. He said, you guys fucked everything up. I should have never told you nothing. I said, yeah, we did it, man. It was an accident. He says, well, you're in trouble, man. You're in trouble with my boss. The boss wants to meet you. I said, no problem. So we got in the car, and we got a 995. And on the way, I'm telling him, I said, these people are gonna kill me, are they? He said, I don't know. I don't make no guarantees, man. We have fucked something up. They talk about killing 6 people. So there ain't no pussies here. So we drove to Holiday Inn on I-95 in Miami. I looked at him, 4 guys got out of the car. I said, is that them? He said, that's them, that's part of them. There's more to your left. And I looked, there was 4 other guys on the other side getting out of the car. I approached the older guy was there. He says, you Rivi? I said, yes, I am. He says, come with me. Got on the back of a car, and in the backseat was a lady. And she asked me, she said, you the one that fucked up the hill last night? And I said, in a way I did. And she told me I've been after these people for months. And that's the first time that we got signed on them. And I had fucked it up. She says, well, I'll tell you what, you find them and we call it even. I'm interested in the 2 brothers. The other 4 were just gonna hit because they were sitting on the table. I said, you were gonna kill 4 other people just to kill 2? She said, that's the way I do my things. Get everybody their way. I said, it wouldn't have been easy just to kill 2? She said, no, it would have been easy to kill all 6 of them. Spray the whole table instead of walking up to 1 piece. That surprised me, she's talking to murder like. So I told her, I said, just give me a week. I find these people. So when we got back to the hotel, I told the guys,